Good morning. Welcome to church. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. You can get involved by going to our chat line, YouTube chat line, and whatever your questions or comments are, we will get to them. All right. Good morning again, everybody. How y'all? Good. All right. Couple of things. We did I tell you about the slut walk? I mentioned the slut walk.
You said you were going.
Yeah. I 2 weeks ago now, I think, there was a slut walk downtown Los Angeles. And so we went down and did a man on the street thing. And it's up on our TV show, thefallenstate.tv. And I have to tell you, it's sad. It's so amazing. It's sad in that it's amazing how low we can fall when we're in a fallen state, when we are disconnected from God, from what is right. We can really go low and don't even realize that it's wrong. You know, because in that fall, we justify falling. And the slut walk was, I want you to make sure you check it out, but be aware that it's not for kids. Believe me. So don't watch it in front of your children or it will traumatize them. But it just shows how low we have sank, well, the country has, or people. All right, so check it out on the Fallen State. I think we got the last episode up now, right, Hermes?
Yes.
Yeah, the last episode. I was watching the last episode this morning. It was shocking. It was like, it was worse watching it than it was down there. It was bad both ways, but it's amazing. So check it out. The sluts were out. I was having a talk with my friend Mary during Friday, and I learned something from that discussion that I had not realized beforehand. And I'm thinking, wow, that's amazing. I had never thought of it that way. We were talking about there are these health, are they called health doctors? Hold, give me the mic.
Yeah. Well, the point is that the MDs call themselves the
What are the health doctors called?
The others they're just alternative doctors. They have
alternative
PhDs,
doctors?
They have PhDs, they have naturopaths, they have a bunch of doctors of chiropractors, so there's more than one type of doctor.
Right. So but they're called alternative doctors, right?
Well, they should not be called, but they're different.
I'm just trying to get what they're called.
Well, yeah,
lady.
that's what the mainstream people will say, alternative
Right.
doctors.
So you have the regular doctors,
MDs.
and then you have the alternative doctors.
Yeah, like traditional Chinese medicine. All
Tradition
types.
that give you healthy products, right?
Right, more on trying to preserve your health than trying to fix your condition.
Right. And so what I didn't realize, I had not thought about, because I have friends who are doctors like that, you know, and Dr. Seam, as a matter of fact, is one of them. We've had him on the show, on the radio show several times. But what I didn't realize until talking to Mary about this, there's a friend of mine who was one of her kids are having problems, and I have recommended that she go to Cedars-Sinai because it's such an excellent hospital. I used to work for a hospital for about 14 years, and I worked with all these hospitals around here. And Cedar, in my opinion, it's the best. You just have to have insurance. If you don't have insurance, don't go to Cedars. Well, I think they'll take you in the emergency room. But so we were talking about that. I realized in talking to Mary is that the alternative doctors don't do physical examination. Am I right about that?
Some do, some don't.
Yeah, I've never. So there are alternative doctors that perform when you go in and say, "Hey, doctor, I'm sick." They do a physical to find out what's wrong.
Right, but more than that, it's a question and answer to see what's going on with you, as opposed to trying to take tests to diagnose a specific
But most don't do a test or anything, right?
They don't have to.
No, the answer is yes or no. Most don't. I'm trying to learn, so that's
But
why
that's
I'm
what I'm
asking.
saying. I'm not
Most don't
sure.
do physicals.
Not all. But most,
Why
well,
she
I
won't
can't
just
say most,
Go
Jesse.
with me on this one.
I
I'm just
can't.
trying. I learned something from it, so I'm
Right,
sharing what I learned. That's
right.
all.
I can't say most, but yes, it's not necessary to do a
I'm
physical.
not asking all that. Most don't do physicals. Is that right?
I don't know. That
Who
I can't
know?
say.
Anybody ever do this? Oh, okay. Do most alternative doctors do physicals?
No, they call themselves holistic, and it's all either herbal or whatever faith they have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they don't do physicals. So when you go to the doctor, the alternative doctor, anybody can answer this, and you got a problem that you don't know what is, what happens at that point, Mary? So, like my friend, her child has a problem that needs to be, like, this child needs to be on a machine to find out what's wrong. So if that person went to an alternative doctor, what would happen when they walk in?
Well, they would question them as to what is it, is your what's your problem, how do you feel? And so instead of putting you on, just testing you for something,
To
they're
see
going to
if you
ask
got
you
cancer
how
or something.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily have cancer just because you don't feel good. So you want to know, okay, well, how are you feeling? They say, oh, I feel dizzy, I feel this, I feel that. Well, you want to find out when did that start. So you're looking for causes instead of just trying to drive results.
Okay. Yes, sir, miss.
I was gonna say, normally,
Hold on for the mic. Sorry about that.
normally you go, when you go in there, they want to know what your symptoms are, right? Let's say you've got a bad shoulder or whatever. They'll ask you your symptoms, and that's pretty much what they
That's
do.
it?
I mean, if you,
But how would they know if the shoulder's broken or not?
well, I think through experience, just kind of, because they don't do X-rays, a lot of them. What they'll tell you to do is sometimes the good ones, they'll advise you to get an X-ray, and then once you go get an X-ray, you find out if it's broken or not. You go back to them, and they can recommend a course of treatment.
Oh, okay. And the reason I say this is because my friend definitely need to go to a doctor that gives, put you in that machine to see what's wrong before they can treat anything. And apparently the alternative doctors don't do that. But the point I want to make is that as human beings, you have to be careful not to get so into anything that you don't see the big picture. Because there is a time for the MD and there's a time for the alternative doctor. You know what I'm saying? And so don't just get caught up with either the MD or the alternative doctor or the preacher or the teacher, that you lose sight of the big picture. And I noticed that a lot of people do that. They do that with entertainers. They do that with their cars. They do that with preachers. They do that. You have to always have a little space there because there's a time to go to a medical doctor. And then even if you went to get the X-ray, because this young lady needed to find out what's going on, and then if you don't want to take the drugs that they give you, then go to the alternative doctor and say, hey, I had this terrible headache. The doctor say, I got whatever. Can you treat it? And at least the alternative doctor would know, at least you would know what's going on. And it's important that you know what's going on with you more so than any doctor. So just watch that and don't get caught up with these people. And then everybody think that their alternative doctor is better than the other alternative doctor that's better than this doctor. And that's how they fight over the preachers. That's how they fight over houses. Men fight over women like that. My woman look better than yours. Don't do that. That's not good. You get caught up and you don't see your way clear. All right? And Dr. C is a good friend. I love him. He's a good man, smart man, and he helped me a lot. But still, I keep a space there because if I got something, he doesn't have a machine to stick me in to find out what's going on, I'm going to the MD. And then they'll tell me, oh, you got a whatever, and then I'll go back to him, hey, do you have some little herbs for that? But you got to keep control of your own life. That's my thing. Yes, Mary.
So one last thing I want to say is that she already went to the doctor. They already did an MRI. They already gave her a bunch of tests. They said they don't see anything wrong.
Right, I remember
so
her
if you
saying
don't
that.
see anything wrong, why are you going to keep going to a doctor? If you go to a doctor long enough, they're going to make something wrong. So you want to go someplace where they can help you with some other alternatives like supplements and vitamins and maybe some herbs.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Right here. Right there, Mary.
And what I was going to say about the medicine is,
A little loud for me.
I'm sorry, what I was going to say about the medicine is sometimes it does more harm than good, and sometimes it's just, you're right, you have to keep a space.
Yeah.
But it's good sometimes to listen, like, I'm a big YouTube watcher. I feel terrible about that, but
You a big YouTube watcher? Aren't you too old for that?
I don't listen to, no.
Fallen State is on YouTube.
I know,
What?
yeah. The Fallen State is on
Oh,
YouTube.
well, I'm glad you love it. You are not too old.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there where, the alternative doctors are, and people talk about things very interesting, very kind of out of the box type of things. Yeah, very edifying. And sometimes they can tell you that, but you're right, you have to keep control, because if
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense, then you kind of like, that
That's
doesn't make
right.
sense. But if it does make sense, you go, oh, okay, maybe I'll try that, because the medicines have a lot of side effects.
Yeah. My only thing is just make sure you stay in control. Don't get caught up with the person that's giving you the advice, because you won't see for yourself what you should do for yourself. That's the only thing I'm saying. And it seems like a lot of people getting caught up now with and I know a lot of folks who are into that, and they don't want to go to the MD, but the MD still has a purpose. That's why he's an MD. So do a little bit of both when you see you need to. All right? Yes, sir.
Because we're talking about the differences, basically, what you call alternative doctor, their approach, their to the illness, the cure, or their advices differ from the Western. They're more Eastern.
Right.
And the reason they're called alternative doctor is because a lot of their ways is not approved by the whatever administration they have
Right,
here.
yeah.
So their knowledge and their education does not give them that title doctor. So they're called alternative doctor. They're called doctor still because they're there to cure you, but they don't carry the title because
Right, I understand
Instead,
that.
yeah,
They won't
okay.
be approved. But my whole thing is just don't lose control over another person. Whether it's the doctor, the cat, the dog, or whatever, so that you can know when to and when not to. All right? Don't be so excited about these people. Just don't be excited about anything like that, where you just lose self and you can't think for yourself. All right? That's all I'm saying. And what's the other thing? Oh, I got something so good for you. But first, with James, last week I received some questions and that I need to respond to online while the meeting was happening, and I'm looking through them, and some of them are worth me dealing with. So, James is the producer of the church and the radio show, and he also has his own show, along with Joel and Esteban. It's called The Hake Report.
With Joel
Yeah.
and Stefan.
Go ahead.
Okay, and we've gotten some good questions already from today, but here are the ones from last week that were good. Jeff asks, you always say that there's a time and place for everything.
Yes.
Is there a time and place for anger?
No. No. No, Jeff. Anger has no love in it. Anger is evil. Anger destroys, it doesn't build. Anger kills your soul and your children's soul, the family, the cat, the dog, the paint on the house. Because anger is of your father, the devil. That's why God said, before you enter into the kingdom of heaven within, you must overcome anger. And he didn't say overcome anger, but he said forgive. And what he's talking about, you got to overcome that because you're not going to be allowed to enter into the kingdom of heaven with the nature of Satan. And everybody and their mama who has anger, Satan is your father. And I don't care if it's a little bit, because some people say, well, I just got a little bit. But Satan is your father, and you can never, even though you might read the Bible, you might go to church, you might lift up holy hands, pay tithes and offerings, and all that stuff, Satan is still your father. That's why you must be born again. You must return to your original nature before you fell away, before you start to resent. And most of the time it's your parents that you resent. And you become like them because you become like whomever you resent. So no, there's never a time for anger unless you're in that fallen state. And I'm telling you, once you overcome that anger, that spirit is taken away from you, you're never angry again. Never. And it doesn't matter what you're dealing with, you're never angry again. Because that identity that made a home in you has been taken away from you. So if it's taken away from you, how are you going to be angry? It's not even there. And it's not like you can take a little bit now, a little bit now. It's an identity. It's a whole identity. So you can't chip off at the identity. You either have it or you don't have it. And children of God do not have anger. They don't have it. Only the children of Satan, the prince of darkness, has anger. I have no doubt about that. Good question, though. So, no.
Okay, next.
There's a time for discernment, of course. You can see what's wrong and deal with it, but don't resent it. You won't be able to resent it because when you resent it, it takes over you, and it controls you. Okay.
Ruth from London really liked last week's service, by the way, about fear and doubt.
Yeah.
She listened to it like every day. And
Thank you, Ruth.
She she was confused about how or whether to move on from a previous relationship or marriage. And she has 2 kids and is wondering how to teach them or guide them. She's asking, can you expand on how mothers with young children can stay focused on the kids and not get pressured into a new relationship, these are single mothers, by friends and family? She says that they laugh at me when I say I have to sacrifice for my children as they were born out of wedlock.
Real good question. There are many, many worse things that can happen to children, but the worst thing that can happen to children is when you have them and you marry, well, not the worst thing, but it's up there. When you have children and you either get involved with, live with, or marry a step-parent. Children do not accept step-parents. Their soul yearns for their natural parents. And it doesn't matter how nice you might be, how whatever you might be, you cannot come between the father or the mother of those children. And most of the time when adults get together like that, they're together like that anyway in a fallen state, right? And so they're looking for love from each other. They're trying to give love and get love. And as a result of that, the kids are being left out. And they sense that. And so they start to become angry because they feel that this person has come into my life and taken this one parent that I have away from me. And it cuts off. It's like when you're angry, your life source is cut off. You're cut off from God. Well, kids see parents like we as adults see God. And so when you get in the way, you're cutting off their life source. And that's why when they become teenagers, they get older, they go out of control. Because they were not raised with the love of that father or that mother. It's bad enough just having one parent, and then somebody come in and take that one is worse. So don't let them talk you into getting married or any of that stuff, just drop your anger, make sure you're not angry, and God is with you, and he'll guide you through it. Plus, God will give you peace anyway when you're doing the right thing, so you don't need another human love. And you don't need to be trying to get love and look for love, because you have peace, because you love what's right and you're doing what's right. And so they're just trying to seduce you so they can get with you and screw up your children. You're doing the right thing. Don't go with the world. And if you doubt me on this, just talk to kids who've been raised by step-parents. Some will say, oh, they were nice, but those kids as adults are not happy because their soul is not being fulfilled. And they need the identity from their parents, not some step-parents. Step-parents, I had a stepfather, and he was a decent man. He tried to be a father to me, but I would not accept him. And he was really a nice man, provided, I mean, everything. But my soul didn't want him. My soul wanted my real father. And I'm telling you, it's that way. You can try, but no, don't forget about the man. And plus, if you already have children, what you going to need a man for anyway? Meaning that you already have kids, so you don't need to be having any more sex. Who needs sex after a few kids? He said he does. He's a pig. The only purpose for sex anyway is to make babies. And if you're not, or if you can't help yourself and you're going to burn. But if you're not making babies, what's the purpose of having sex? And all it does is destroy. So stay by yourself, stay with the prayer, stay with the Father, and you'll be fine.
She seems to want to know how to guide her kids. She wants to guide her kids spiritually.
By overcoming your anger and stand with God. And God will guide you, and you will guide your children by the same light that God is guiding you. Don't worry about it. Just do the right thing in the moment, and it'll work out. You'll see how to do it. Because if a woman doesn't have a man, then she can go straight to God, and he's going to treat her the same way he would treat that man. He will love you. He will guide you in the right way to go, and the way to treat your children and everybody. So, good question. And one more.
Henry Colton Jr. asks, is it wrong for an adolescent child to put their biological father on a pedestal?
No. Why would that be wrong, especially if he's a good man? You're supposed to love your earthly father. Because if you don't love your earthly father, then you're not going to be able to love God. How can you say you love God who you've never seen and hate your earthly father? And all kids put their fathers on a pedestal. I remember my father just come and visit sometime down in Alabama, and my grandmother would let him come over without my mother knowing. And when my father walked in, I felt like God walked in the room. It was like I had an instant joy in my heart. And when he would leave, I would go back to that emptiness again. All children love their fathers, and that's what Satan hates. That's why he used his children to destroy men, because the man represents Christ. He's the light of the family. He's the love of the family. He is the everything, the strength, provider, everything. And Satan doesn't want that. He destroyed that man. It's over for the family. That's what happened to black Americans. Not all, but most. They took the man out of the home and put the government as the daddy. The light went out, and it has been hell ever since. Because that father's not there. It has nothing to do with racism. Racism does not exist. It's about right and wrong, good versus evil. And now they're trying to take the white man out. If they can take the white man away from his family, it's over for the country. Because the man is the backbone. And when the man is gone, there is no backbone. It's just the way it is. Sorry to the feminists who hate men. And believe me, they hate men. Why do you think they're trying to take Donald Trump out? He is a straight, conservative, white, Christian man of power. And he doesn't care what you say or think. He loves what's right. And they hate that because they can't get to him to destroy him. He's not overreacting to them. So they can't destroy him. And they are going nuts. They're like, Satan is coming out like 90 going north.
Yeah, we saw George Bush.
North for the white folks. North is for the black people. No, do you say north or north?
I say north.
That's because you think you're white. I say north. But it's a spiritual battle, folks. It really is. And this is a beautiful time in life because it's right in front of our eyes now. It's there now. All this stuff that's happening, all this evil that's right there now, be happy to see it in the same manner that you should be happy to see it in yourself. When you are happy about seeing the evil in you, you can change just like that. But if you're unhappy about it, you will not change. And every man and woman's heart is evil. Is evil. Yes.
You brought up anger. Asanta Gage says, I am a 29-year-old woman. I have been watching your videos and have been working on my anger. My spouse has anger and fear, and I'm wondering how to talk to him about it without offending him.
Well, once you overcome your anger, you're going to realize there's no such thing as offending someone. Only the fallen think that you're offending someone when you tell them the truth. When you tell someone the truth and they overreact to it, it's only because they don't love that truth. It's not your problem. You tell them the truth without resenting them. And I don't know if she's going to be able to if she still has anger. Because the spirit behind that, he's going to know that it's not from love. But if you can do it without hating him, it'll work. I mean, it'll be fine. But you can't worry about how someone's going to feel about the truth. And don't take it personal when they overreact, because they are not ready for the truth. It has nothing to do with you. All right? So do my silent prayer and you'll be fine. All right. Any questions here? Yes, sir. Hold on for the mic.
You said that there's a time and place for everything except anger. Is there a time and place for the truth?
There's always a time and place for the truth. Well, I take that back a little bit now that you said that, because the people who are angry, they're living that. And so we need that in order to help us to stay on the straight and narrow path. It's not a time and place for a child of God, but it's a time and place for the children of Satan. Christ was never angry. He always had love, and love conquers all. And I'm not talking about emotional love. Emotional love is not of God. It's the love that is the light unto your feet. It has no feelings. It has no thoughts. It just guides you. That's the love I'm talking about. You have real love, Dalla?
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah.
And how do you know?
I tend to be too nice to people. I tend to be too virtuous, and so I need to scale that back a little bit. So I'm working on, taking it down a notch. I got too much love.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I got to chill with all the love.
That's right. It's funny, when I think of virtuous, I don't think of you. Anyway.
I'm not going to let that get me angry. Letting go of the anger.
That's right. Any other? Yes, Raymond.
Okay, this may have to do with anger that's still in me. But I had a dream where I took a nap after I prayed in the morning of a very strong bully trying to take over, and so I try in my rage I tried to destroy him. It seems like part of me does not part of me still. Deep inside me, still cannot stand when I pray, silently pray.
Yeah. Well, just suffer until you're ready.
Understood.
Sometimes hard-headed people have to suffer, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. And so if you have a big ego, you're unwilling to go through the pain, you're unwilling to relax in the pain and go through it. So just suffer, and then hopefully you'll get there before you die. All right. All right. Yeah. Any question? Yes, sir. All right. So, yes. Anybody disagree with any of this? Okay.
What exactly causes anger?
Judgment. Judgment causes anger. And that's what I want to get into is how to overcome. Because I'm realizing more and more people do not understand how to overcome. And I'm going to tell you in a minute. That's a really good question. Yes, Dave?
I have one question about relationships from somebody.
Okay.
Jason Sherwood is asking, I have a friend who can't get over a girl we both know is bad for him. What advice y'all have for him?
I've been down that road before. Anybody ever had a girlfriend or boyfriend that you just couldn't get over? At least you thought you could at the time? Yeah. Yeah, everybody. Joe, how did you overcome that? The hate report.
With time, eventually I was extremely attached to her, especially during and I was younger, a lot younger. But I was attached.
Were you like 12?
14. No, I was like, well, in all of high school. But it was like the first thing I've ever experienced of something. So I was just extremely attached. But it was just one-sided. So after...
Oh, she didn't like you?
She did, but she didn't act like it. So, but eventually, after a while, my mind was made up that this was just pointless, and then I couldn't get over it for a while. Then just eventually got over.
And you couldn't eat, you couldn't sleep. You didn't like anyone, no one liked you.
Something like that.
And you played sitting by the dock of the bay and cried.
Something like that.
Yeah. Been there, done that. How were you able to overcome it? You had your hair?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't think I need to mind because I haven't yet.
You haven't overcome yet?
No.
You going through that now?
Yeah.
Really? And so you're in a love with a woman that you need not be with or should not be with?
Yeah.
And you can't let go?
I could let go eventually, but
not now?
yeah.
Sucker?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been sucking.
First of all, you should not even be involved with a woman.
Yeah, I know.
But why you do it?
I don't know. Why do I eat food?
Oh.
I'm just hungry.
So you think of a woman as nutrition. You were hungry.
Well, not. It's like a cake. It's not necessarily good for you, but it fills you up.
Right. I understand. It does. You should suffer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to even tell you how to overcome it.
Yeah. I will.
I can't believe you've done that.
Well, I was doing good, but then I was like, okay, I think I want some cake.
All right, we'll suffer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, how were you able? And the reason he shouldn't, because he just went through a whole deal. You were married at one time, right?
No, that's the same situation.
That's the same person?
Yeah.
You got back with that person?
No, I didn't get back with
You
it.
never left?
Yeah. Well, we separated and we're divorcing now, but it's kind of like keeps kind of falling back and then I pull back and then it's like.
Will suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he has children, so he needs to just focus on his children. And for a while, weren't you doing that for a while?
Yeah. I'm not completely in the situation. It's just every once in a while.
But I
just to
told
hang and
you,
bang.
don't have anything else to do with this person.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to get over it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the hard part. Yeah.
Okay. I'll show you how. Yes, sir.
That sounds like some vintage cake. You keep
telling
going
you.
back to it. The way I got over it was first of all, I kind of realized how attached I was to her.
Yeah.
And then once I realized that, it just made me realize that she was my God. And once I somehow after that, it was easy to let it go.
Yeah. Interesting. Yes, ma'am.
Well, first of all, it's funny looking back now because, like, at the time being, I was like 16. So when you're a teenager, like, you think, oh, I'm not going to live without this person.
Right.
I can never get over them. Like, oh my God. But now looking at it, it's like, who are they? Like,
It's crazy.
I don't care.
Huh?
Like,
But it not
it's
only
almost like I'm
happened to
looking at
60,
my.
it happened to 60-year-old men too.
Yeah, but
And
now it's like
women.
looking. I'm like, why was I even with that person?
Yeah.
But I think at the time, like, you need to first of all distract yourself. Like, I don't know, go hang out with your friends, go to the gym or something. Like, don't just. I mean, suffer first, like cry through it, but don't just sit there and cry all day, every day. Like, go distract yourself. I think another biggest thing is don't give yourself the opportunity to talk to them. Don't try to check in on them or something, or go stalk their, I don't know, Instagram or something, and like, or don't give
That's
stupid
right.
reasons to go see them. Oh, like, you left this over here. Do you want to come get it? Like, don't feed into that. If they try to contact you, don't feed into that either. You just have to like cut them off completely. If they want to try to,
It's easier said than done, though.
it is easier said than
Believe
done.
me.
It's hard. It is
Yeah.
hard, but you have to be determined to do
Yeah.
it and distract yourself completely. If they try to be your friend, like, no, you can't be friends with your exes. It doesn't.
That's
It
right.
doesn't work.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, Joel.
Like you said, I think it was having to see it first. I think I couldn't see it. And then having your mind made up. Then it got to a point where stuff was happening so much where I looked ridiculous. And it kept happening. But I sat there through it because I couldn't see it, even though I knew it was happening. But then it got to a point where, okay, now it's like, now you're doing too much. And then once I finally seen that, my mind was made up, then it was easy just to
Right.
move forward. So I think it's just mainly having your mind made up and sticking with it.
Right. Interesting. Yes, sir. One last point on this.
Yeah, in my opinion, I believe that when
You've been through this too?
well, I go through it almost all the time. It's not even just with the person, sometimes with things that I'll become obsessed with. Because
Yes.
I think when
That's
anybody
right.
believes that a person or a thing or a substance is what they need to help themselves,
Yeah.
it takes away from what they need to help themselves,
That's
which is
right.
God. So anytime the belief goes in the other direction, you're getting away. And the only way to heal that is to go the other way, believe back to God. Work in
Have
the
you started
relationship.
doing that?
Oh yeah, I do it all the time. I
Good.
try. There's too many temptations in this world. It's pretty hard. I go around in the delusion that money's going to make me happy or this person's going to make me happy, and
Yeah.
it's
Well,
tempting.
once you overcome your anger, the temptation is not as great anymore.
Right.
You're able to see it and resist it because you have the power working through you to resist the temptation. But in that fallen state, you have no power. You can't fight evil with an angry spirit because it's the same spirit. But once you overcome that anger, then you have the power of God working through you to overcome that. All right? Yes. Oh.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I do notice that because, and I distracted myself and all that type of stuff. And I think when I don't take care of myself is when I fall, But I do notice that there's a lot of other things in my life that I don't really care about that I've given up on. So that's why I have confidence that this will pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not
good.
really, I'm not stuck on it so much, but because I know it's going to pass and I know it's not the way. So I guess, I do have confidence is basically.
That's good.
What I think.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, the way you overcome this man and woman thing, woman and man thing, and I've been down that road. I had that so bad at one time that in order for me to break up with one girl, I had to have another one waiting in the wing. There was no way that I was going to go through that pain without my next guy being there to help me. And I used to drive up and down Pacific Coast Highway from LA to Pacific Coast Highway. From LA to Santa Barbara, going around the coast. Anybody ever dreaming that? It is so beautiful. It is so nice. You take the ocean all the way around. And when you're going through that pain, it's more beautiful. And then you're cruising down the Pacific Coast Highway, playing, sitting by the dock of the bay. The sun is shining, the water is sparkling. I can see it now. And you play your sad song. It's the best drive that you ever had. And you're crying a little bit. I hate to tell that part. But what happened was, I didn't know at the time that I had made the woman my God. Anytime you can't let something go and not feel pain about it, it's your God. And so I didn't know that it was my God. And I didn't know that because I resented my mother, that I became attracted to what I hated. And so it's kind of like you love the thing that you hate. And so I hated the spirit of my mother, but every woman I got involved with was the same spirit. Even if she looked like she wasn't the same person when you first meet them, but it is the same thing. It's that way with women and men too. Women hate their mothers, and they end up marrying men just like mama. It's the same spirit. And even when you say, I would never, ever marry a woman like my mother, most people say that. Or a woman say, I would never marry a man like my weak father or something. And they end up with that because that spirit that's in your parents have made a home in you, and now you are them and not yourself, so you're attracted to it. Isn't that amazing? And so, but at the time, I didn't know this. So what you're going to have to do now that you're in this situation, you're going to have to go to the pain, but first know that you're wrong, that you have this woman in the wrong place in your life. You put her before God. Then you go to the pain and relax in it. Just take the pain. Take the loneliness. Take the anger that you feel about it. Take the jealousy that she might be with someone else. Take the everything. Then you can get past it. And you're right. The young lady is right. Don't go over there. Don't call her. If she's coming down the same road you're coming down, go the other way. And because when you're around them, Satan makes you think they're happy and you're not. They're in love with someone else. And God forbid if she should get a phone call while you're over there. It's time for a fight. So just take the pain and you'll get past it. But because when you take the pain, you are admitting that you're wrong. You really are. And it's no one else's fault. It's not her fault that you put her in that position or him in that position. It's your fault. So when you can take the pain, you are saying to God, I'm wrong. I have sinned. I have sinned. And then when you admit that, he will take care of you. He really will. But you got to take it. You got to take it for being wrong so that you can be made right. And I'm telling you, the one thing I'm sure about, it is no one else's fault that you feel the way you feel. It's not her fault. It's not your mama's fault. It's not your daddy's fault. It's not the white man's fault. It's your fault. Even when you're in relationships and you're angry at the other person, it's not the other person's fault that you're angry. It's your fault. But if you blame someone else or put it on someone else because you feel a certain way, you're never going to be free and you will always be controlled. Always. Yes, sir. There's another one? I got to get into what I want to get into.
Okay, real quick then. A young woman with kids should stay on her own?
Yes.
What about kids being without a male figure in the home? Who will teach them to be young men?
That's a good question. And we talked about this last Sunday. What do you say to that? We talked about that last Sunday.
Well, you've mentioned multiple times now over the past few weeks that no man nor woman can teach another person, child, how to be a man or a woman.
Right.
And
your father can't teach you how to be a man, and your mother can't teach you how to be a man. Your father can't teach you how to be a woman, or your mother can't teach you how to be a woman. What it is, when you love what's right, see, our nature, our true nature, our true self is a piece of God's nature. we're not our thoughts, we're not our emotions, we're none of that. We are made in God's image. And so the real us is his nature. And so when you return to him, you start to grow in your true self, which is all love, no fear, no doubt, no need for the world, and all that stuff. And so when you get married and you have children, your kids looking at the way you deal with life and the way you look at Christ. And so you become like what you observe. So the kids who are observing the father and the mother without anger, who are now children of God, is going to grow in that nature themselves. The light that's coming through you, which is passed down from God to you, will cause them to become a man or a woman in the right way. You cannot teach them to be that way. That's why whatever you are, what your kid's going to come, because if they're looking at an angry father or mother, they become angry. Because they observe what you do, not what you say. They either see the light in you or the darkness in you. And so to the mother, it's a woman, right? You got to return back to your original state. And then the father that's in you will guide your children and cause your son to become a man and cause your daughter to become a woman. It really will happen. Of ourselves, we can do nothing. And so I've heard, and you have heard people say, oh, they need a stepfather. They need some kind of man in their life. They need a football player or something, right? It doesn't work. Because those people in a fallen state, they come into your life, they mess up the kids too. You don't need that. You need to return to the Father. You need to return to your original nature and be that. A lot of parents try to tell the kids what's right, don't do this and don't do that, but they're not that themselves. And that's where the problem is. You got to be right. You just can't talk about or do right. You got to be right. And when we return to God, we are made to be right. Be holy as he is holy. Be perfect as he is perfect. His nature is perfect. Your true nature is perfect. And you just grow in it, and the kids will be fine. You know something? Anybody disagree with that? The problem is, how do you return to the Father? Did you have your hand for me? No? A while back?
Yeah, but that's
okay. Okay, so I want to show you, hopefully tell you how to overcome. How to overcome. First, you got to admit, or should admit, that you are wrong. You got to admit that you are wrong. And the hardest thing for the fallen being to do is to admit that they are wrong. Isn't that true? And some will admit they're wrong a little bit, you know, nicey stuff. But most people will not see and admit that they're wrong. And that's the first problem. Until you can see that you're wrong, you're never going to get right. Because the moment you can see that your heart is evil and that you're wrong, in that very moment, things start to change. The light comes on. And in that light, you start to grow out of the darkness back into the light, back to your original state, your original nature. And everybody and their mama who blame someone else, the moment you blame someone else, you're overreacting and you're going deeper into hell. The moment you become angry at someone and go with that anger, you're going away from yourself, straight to your father, the devil. The way to overcome this, God said, be still and know, right? You got to let things happen. You have to let it happen. For example, if somebody is just going off on you, and you're looking at them, you know they're wrong, right? Let it happen. Your ego, your mind is telling you, oh, this is a nasty person. What are they talking about? And you want to just slam them, right? They're saying the wrong things about me. How can they say this, right? Your ego mind, which is your father's mind, Satan, is talking to you to get you to overreact, get mad, lash out, or do something. If you do, you lose. But if you be still and know God, that's why God said, be still and know him. If you could just take that in that moment, Never mind what your father Satan is telling you, then you can get past it. And wisdom come, the light come, everything just works out for you. But you got to be still in that moment no matter what your mind is telling you. Satan doesn't want you to know it. They'll say, oh, this is a bad liberal. This person hates me, whatever it tells you. But you got to be still in that moment and know God. That's how you overcome. Every time you overreact, you destroy your own soul. Every time you be still, you give life to your soul. And everything that's happening to you is supposed to be happening. It's exactly what you need to overcome. You need that to overcome. And God is never going to give you any more than you can handle. Whatever is happening, you can handle it if you don't judge it. You really, I wish I could get you to know that. Because he loves you, even in your fallen state, he still loves you. And he's just trying to get you to return back home to him and become his child. And so he's never going to give you any more than you can handle. So if someone is attacking you, he's allowed that to happen because he's trying to bring you back home. He's telling you got to die from the ego. That makes sense? Yeah. And I urge you to try that this week. Just 1 week. Because believe me, challenges are going to come every day, especially those who are seeking the Father. But everybody get it. So this week, if somebody tries to make you angry, or they say horrible things about you, or your husband or your wife, whatever, and you just want to go off, don't do it. Just sit there and just take it. Because it's not you that's dying. It feels like you're dying. But it's that ego that's dying. It's the not you that's made a home in you that feels like you. Because this thing is in your mind and it's in your physical body, but it's not in your soul. So this thing hates the truth. It really does. And so when you're like busy thinking and going off and your body is hurting from the pain because now there's anger there, take that. That's the thing that God wants to get out of you. He wants to rebuke that and then give you back your original nature. But you got to take it. You cannot lash out. Even if the person is trying to hurt you, they are doing you a favor. They really are. Even if they are wrong in what they're saying about you, and you're feeling anger from it, and that thing is talking to you, take it so that you can die, your ego to die. And if you have once to live and once to die. You die from that, you live. You got to take it. Because it's spiritual, there's nothing you can do about it of yourself. You just have to admit you're wrong. And you're wrong when you lash out at someone. You're wrong when you attack back. You're not going to die that way. Let me take Hermes over there. I'm working with a man right now. He is an older man. He is married. And a couple of his adult children have moved back into their house. And they were supposed to be gone by now. And years have gone by. And they are still there. And the father kind of lightly told one of the kids, adult kids, you need to move. And the person said, oh, okay. And some more years have gone by, they're still there. And so the father tried to get the wife to do his job. Why don't you tell the kids they got to go? I'm like, why don't you do it? He won't do it. He's afraid to do it. And he used excuses like, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want to do this. My wife don't want me to do it. Doesn't want to have. She loved me to be here. I'm like, but you know it's not right. Why don't you be a man and do it? And now they want to pay me to come over and do it for them. He seriously want to pay me to come to his house and tell his adult kids they need to move.
Charge them per child.
Isn't that amazing? And I was kind of thinking about doing it too. I was thinking about, well, I'm supposed to do it today. I was thinking, maybe I will. But then I realized it's more than I'm not going to do it because that father needs to become a man. He needs to grow up. He needs to deal with this challenge because he's too weak. And women hate weak men. Children hate weak fathers. They hate them. And so he needs to do it, so I'm going to tell him I'm not going to do it.
Talk about the sluts.
But I was about to do it. You missed it. We did already. Hold on a minute.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah. Yes.
You said we have once to live and once to die?
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Yeah, just hold on a minute. Yeah.
Hey,
Hold
wait your
on a minute
turn.
now. Hold on. You just got here. We've already dealt with it. But you're absolutely right. Hold on a minute, and I'll come to you, though.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
So you said we have once to live and once to die.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting to me. So are you saying that if we allow that ego death, like to just let that happen perfectly without any resistance, that's all it takes is that one time?
Yes. Well, I mean, to allow it to happen?
Yeah. So
I mean,
are you saying that if we don't resist, we can be born again in that moment, or can you expand on that? What you're saying?
What I'm saying is that when you admit you're wrong, and so when these things come that causes you to want to lash out, to be angry, don't. Because in that, God determined when you want to do it. But in that very moment, you could be saved from that. Because the ego starts to die right away. And then when the next situation comes, don't overreact. And it'll die. And you just start growing from that. You can see by the light. And so once the ego dies, the thing that's made a home in you that's not you, then you come alive and you have life, eternal life, forever. And I have to tell you, there's nothing like having life. It is so amazing. It really is so amazing. And I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring for me, but I can see now how to take this stuff. When people do crazy things and say crazy things, or act it up, I'm just kind of, and the mind start working, I'm just looking at them because I realize they can't help it. They have the same spirit that you're trying to overcome, and they can't help it. You see that they cannot help it. And that way, you don't have to overreact to it. And God is not like what we've been taught. One man called my radio show and I asked, are you the head of your wife? And he said something like, a nice man too. He might be watching. A nice man. He said, yeah, like Christ is the head of like Christ said or something, right? What do you say?
Like Christ is the head of the church.
Yeah, he said, yes, I'm the head of my wife, like Christ is the head of the church. And then we get into the conversation, and he hated his wife, and his wife hated him. He wanted to move to California because he's graduated from law school, and he can come out here and get a job, but his wife doesn't want it. And I'm like, why don't you make her come? I can't. No, it was about the church thing. They hate this church that they're going to, well, he does. And the wife loved the church. He doesn't. And I was like, why don't you keep her home? Don't let her go to church. I can't do it. So how are you the head of your wife if you can't keep her out of a church? And that's just a Christian saying. Because what happened is Christians have been taught Christian language. Yeah, they got the words or something, but they don't have the spirit. They do not have the spirit, and they are being defeated. Like 90 going north. God wants you to have the spirit, not the language. He will give you the language. So, any question about that? All right. So make sure you do the silent prayer. And if you this week, whenever you say out loud, you're just trying to make me feel this way, or you're just doing this to me, know you're falling. All right? You won't overcome your ego. So I want you to do it for 1 week, if you like. And then next Sunday after the meeting, you go back to hell. Because you can just fall back into. But this week, just know whatever you're thinking or feeling is not the other person that's doing it to you. They say that Donald Trump is bringing out is causing people to be angry, right? You heard that before? Yes. Donald Trump is not causing anyone to be angry. Because of him, the anger that's already in them is coming out. And that's what children of God should do. You should be the kind of man or woman of God that when you're around the children of Satan, Satan should come out. All right? So you can hopefully help these people. But if it's not happening, it's because you have anger too, or you're doing it with the wrong spirit. All right. So do the prayer. Did you have a question, Frankie? Oh, okay. Did it answer your question?
You answered it by saying, don't judge.
By saying
That judgment's the problem.
right. Do you
being
know how
angry.
not to judge?
No, I seem to be a judgment machine. Like I was created for this.
Right.
You know.
Every judge will think that. Yeah. So listen, that's a good question. I'll end it this way because we're past the time. When someone attack you, and right away your father starts talking to you, Satan in your head, because God does not work in your head. He does not work in your head. He reveals things to you. Satan works in your head. So the moment something happens, and right away he starts talking to you, and you believe that, that's when you judge. The moment you believe that lie, you're now judging. But if you let that pass, you cannot judge. And you think it's you doing it, but he's causing you to do it. All right, because you're connected to him. You're connected to hate and not love. So it's not you. Just know it's not you. Don't take it personal. You can get past it.
And especially don't take personal what happens.
Hold on for the
once I
mic.
judge.
I'm sorry?
And especially don't take personal what happens after I judge. Because
That's
you know
right.
that brings consequences.
That's right.
Bad ones. It
One
always
thing
does.
leads to another.
Yeah.
Tell me your first name again. Mr. Whip back to the woman. Right here.
Oh, Dathan.
Dathan?
Yeah, don't forget my name
Oh,
again.
that's right. I know. Dathan said it perfectly. You know, like he hasn't been able to get away from this woman, but he has the confidence that he will. So he may stumble one more time, but he can learn from it. Don't judge yourself about it. Don't judge her, and do the prayer. You know, seek the Father, and it'll pass. But if he become frustrated, he's stuck there for another 10 years, and she's going to kill him. And then he can't donate to Bond. So if you're in a situation and look like you just can't help yourself, just realize you can't help yourself, but don't judge yourself. Allow yourself to go through it without any opinion about it, and you'll be fine. You really will be fine. All right? Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. And I really appreciate the online questions and comments. Keep them coming. Tune into the radio show Monday through Friday. It is happening like 90 going north. It is happening. JLPtalk.com. What else? Don't forget, we need your financial support as well. So donate to us, sponsor us. We have our Entrepreneur Academy where we're training young men to become business owners. We tutor and counsel. We have the best counseling service on this side of heaven. And those experts, they keep you going for life, charging you a whole lot of money, and you never get better. And then they turn you over to the doctor gives you medication. We show you how to overcome it most of the time in the first session, and 99% of the time you only need 2 sessions. All right? So check out our counseling service as well, and all that good stuff. And thank you all for coming as well. I appreciate it. All right? Uh-huh.